Hello and welcome to the second part of the video, students. So this is the part where I'm going to explain the code of the system, how it has been implemented. If you take a look at the main screen, you can see this is the stock maintenance screen that I have built, and there are specially add, edit and delete. These three buttons have their special functionality which it needs to work with item records. Since this assignment has to be built using developer concepts, what I have done is I have implemented this in a fully object-oriented manner. Each and every time when you want to invoke an item, or if you want to work with an item, we are actually working this system, this our GUI system, via this button click events. It is actually working with the actual item objects which are created from item classes. There's just one class called item class, and I will show you how, for example, how the edit or how the add routine works in this program as well. So first of all, we will take a look at the item class and see how it looks. So there we go. Since I'm making use of the database program here, and I'm working with date, and I'm working with simple date format, I need to import these packages. That's what these three statements are for. And this is the class item, which has 5 date items: item code, description, expiry date, price, stock balance, and database. As you can see, we have already built this database class. Inside this item, I have created an instance variable here. So when the item needs to actually talk with the database, it will make use of an object of that database class, and it will invoke the methods execute update, execute query. Down here what we have is the constructor method of the item class. What this constructor method does is, if you supply values for these data items of the class, it will initialize them for you. In addition to that, it initializes the database object for you. Here there's another constructor I have built. This is an empty constructor. In use of this one, it's very handy when you're using this one with the GUI program. This empty constructor is involved with creating the database object. Since we're going to work in this assignment in a fully developer fashion, our GUI program needs to communicate with this program or item object via methods. That's the proper way of doing the work. So this will happen via message passing. So what I have done here is, in order to make the process easier, I have built relevant methods to invoke these data items. For each and every data item here, I have a set of getters and a set of getters and setters. So you can see item code, the getter and setter here, description, then the expiry date, the data type I have used here, the date itself, because we are using a date chooser control. When you want to work with the date chooser control, that's the GUI component here. I'll show you here. This one, this takes in, if you want to set a date, it's need not to be in text, it need to be in a real date object. That's the main reason why I am using date objects. And when you ask what the date has been selected there, it's going to return a date object as well. So it will be much easier for us to work with the date itself. That's why the data type here, expiry date, it's been taken in date type itself, utility date type. Once you move further down here, there is a expiry date. You can see here, get expiry date in string. This is mainly if you want to send the values to the database. Now, once you take the values from the text fields here, when the program is working, you need to put those text values into the SQL commands, and you have to save it in the database using SQL commands. So in order to make that process much easier, rather than working with the real date object, I want a string version of the date. So that is what I have done here. If you're finding it difficult to understand this coding, let me take just 1 minute and explain it to you. There's a class called simple date format class, which comes from the text package. You can see from here, I have imported it. What this all does is, now I want this text or this object's text to be in a particular format. Especially here we're going to work with date formatting. So as you know, MySQL database server accepts dates in 4 digits year, then 2 digits month, and 2 digits date. So we want the format to be as it is, so that's what I'm doing here. So what I do next is I have mentioned the format here. Here there's a string variable I am defining as format. So that is the string variable I will be returning from this method. As you can see here, currently it is assigned to null. If this everything goes fine inside the try block, if there is no exception thrown, this format variable will have, other than a null value, actually it will have a real text value. So what we do here is format is being assigned to format1, which is a simple date format class object. Format1 dot format, that's the function that we call. Within brackets we give a date object. So what we do here is get expiry date. This is an instance method that I have implemented. As you can see here in line number 42, I have implemented that one, which will return current date of that object, and it is returning a date type value. So this will take that date value from that item and it will convert into a string value, so we have no issues. So this will return the string in this particular format and whatever the date value that particular item contains. That's the idea about this particular get expiry date in string format. That's all. I just built this method for you so you can implement this in your systems if you find it very hard to implement. So setting a date, no big issues. Takes a date object and assign it to the current date. Get price, set price, so no issues, big deal. So you can understand this one. The source code, I will make it available via my blog. Everything will be provided to you via the email. And these are two important methods that I have built. As you can see from the GUI program, what we do is we collect data, item code, description, price, stock balance, and date of expire. We collect those information. What we do is we need to put them into an SQL command, and that's what we are doing here. And for that reason, I have built two methods. One is called save new record, and there's another one called save changes. Now once you go to the GUI program, as you can see, there's a add new record, delete a record. So if you are adding a new record, we are currently creating a whole new record. So during that particular occasion, this particular method will be invoked. So this method is the one which is going to be accessed, and it's going to be, as you can see, this is the method going to be invoked. As you can see, there's a SQL command I'm constructing. SQL is assigned to insert into whatever the table name. At this time I'm adding it to records. I'm adding to item table. So details I'm supplying, description, price, stock balance, and expiry date. Those are the 4 date items I'm adding. As you can see in the item table, the item code is the primary key, as well as it is a numeric type and it is auto incrementing type. So we don't need to supply this value. That is the reason I have omitted that. Then you can see here, after closing these brackets, there's a space and I'm saying values, open brackets. I'm going to pass in the values. First comes the description, as I mentioned here, description. So get description method is fired, so the items description will be taken here. Get price will be taken here. As you know, price will return float. Get stock balance also will return float, but still, you know, whatever the value which is combined with a string is also a string. Get price is getting added. Get stock balance is also getting added with these string values, and they are being joined with special single quotes and comma marks. The price value and the stock value both are numeric values in the database as well. In the database they are float values, so that's the reason single quotes are missed from either sides of this parameter. Now when it comes to the expiry date value, that date value we need to send them inside single quotations. That is why these single quotes has been added on either sides and the bracket is closed from there. Then finally what we do is database object dot execute update method I'm executing. So what happens is this SQL command, I'm going to give it to the database object and it will do the job for me. Without any problem, it will create a new record in the database for that particular new item that we are creating, and this everything is happening via the item class. Right, Then if you want to update something, what you do is you simply press the edit button, and the data will be listed here. You will enter the item code, and once you press the enter key, a description, everything will be displayed here, and you can do the modifications there. And you can keep the cursor here, press the enter key, save button will be enabled, you click the save button, and ultimately what will happen inside here is finally you're going to call the save changes method of the item class. What it is it's going to make changes to the particular record. So as in the previous method, this method also makes a dynamic SQL command. As you can see, string SQL is assigned to update item set. So that is, I'm going to change the item table. These are the fields I'm going to change: description, price, stock balance, expiry date. These are the date items I'm going to give new values, and all these new values are coming from the objects method itself: get description, get price, get stock balance, get expiry date string. So this is going to return a string value here. This is why we made this method for. And finally, we need to put a where clause, because we need to update the particular record only without harming any other records. So where code, whatever the code that is displayed or accessed at the particular time, so the get code, that particular items code will be accessed here, and the SQL command will be nicely executed, and the records will get updated. So when you want to delete an item also, the same thing, an SQL command is getting created, delete all from, or delete from item, and where code is provided, so that particular item will be deleted. So here you can see that SQL command is executed. Here I have built a method. This is really useful by the time you are doing the search operation. So is item record found, and I will supply an item code here. Inside that there's a SQL command which will do the search for you and return true if the item found, and it will return false if the item not found. That's it, simple as that. Then there's a method to return the item as well. So here what we do is there's a method built to return the item. So if you supply in the item code, it will create an object, item object, and it will return. I thought this will be smart to use in the GUI program if it's necessary. That's why I created this one as well. So let's go to the GUI program part and see how this part is implemented under the methods. So actually under the item code, when you press the enter key, or when you go there and type a number, and when you press the enter key, so this is the code what you're going to see there: txt code action performed. So this is the place where you're going to come in. So there are two situations, actually three situations, that you can come under this place: particular add, edit, delete. So the system needs to know first of all in which mode you are in now. So there's an if condition. First of all, it's checking whether you have entered a valid item code. If so, it will allow you to search, otherwise it prompts an error message. Here else means you have typed an item code. Let's see if there's a thing ITM stands for item, and you can see I have created an item at the very top here, private item ITM assigned to new item. This is an item object I am creating so that I can access all these methods of the item class. That's the purpose why I'm creating a item object here, and the same item object I'm accessing here. So you can see ITM dot is item record found, and what we pass in there is we're going to give txt code, that is your GUI, this one, whatever you enter here we're going to pass in, and it needs to be in integer. So I'm converting that into integer and passing. So this can be true. You can see that it says if this can be true, it will return true if the item found, it will return false if the item not found. So if the item is found, what you go is you go inside and you check what were the mode, what is the mode now you are in. If you are in add mode, you are not or no longer allowed to add the same record, so it gives an error message saying record already exists. Else, that means record not found, and we need to make sure we need to initialize the object. So what we do is ITM is assigned to because you know once the item is found, we need to display the details of the item in these text fields. So I need to know what's the item code, what's the description, what's the price, and so on and so forth. So what I do is I invoke the method get item. You can see it's implemented here. You can see get item. If you give the code, it will search for the particular record and it will create an item. Actually here you can see item class constructor method is invoked, and all the details have been inserted there. What we're going to do is here the item class will be invoked, and all the necessary parameters to create an item object is passed in, as you can see here, and it will create the corresponding item object and it returns. That's the basic idea of that particular code there. So here after passing line number 399, you will be having an actual item object with you to work with. Then what I do is I enable the text, display the records. So when I want to display the records, I have built a custom method. If I pass in an item object into the display records method, it will invoke the methods get description, get price, get expiry date, and it will beautifully display all those details. So let me show you that part. Here it is in line number 487. Display record which takes in is an item object, and from this each and every item it invokes i.get code, i.get description, i.get price. These are invoking the methods, so it will have the values there. So let's go back to my previous discussion place. Here we are, text description, and it brings the focus there, so you can immediately start editing the details of that particular record. Basically this is how it happens inside this one. I hope you would found it helpful for you to proceed with it. Okay, and further what it does is after displaying the details, and there could be one more option. Someone could have clicked on the delete button, and you may be on the delete mode now. If you're in the delete mode, we are confirming that with a message box. And if you really want to delete, what we do is we simply take a confirmation, and if it is so, what we do is itm.delete item method I'm just invoking. If you pressed yes option, then only we're going to do the delete part. Finally what we do there is, if the delete was successful, it will return a positive value, and if the delete was successful, what we do is we put a message box at perfectly deleted, and we clear all the text fields, we disable the text boxes, enable the buttons, and again we configure the table so all the details of the tables will be displayed at the bottom. So basically this is what the system is, and all the other parts of the system I hope you would be able to understand by going through the coding. It's not very big deal, so it's a very simple program, and hopefully this will be helpful for your assignment. So let me take about less than 1 minute and run this program and show you how it works if you have missed part 1. So you have to just go to login screen, press shift F6, which brings the login screen, and username password you have to put. Okay, right, so go there, select the maintenance screen. There we go. So let's see how to add a new record. Click on that one, add whatever the details you want. Let's say test 1, then let's say prices. All the validations are done. If you press the enter key, it'll check. So stock balance, let's say 125, and expiry date, let's give a date like if you go give a old date, it gives you a warning message as well, right? So for example, like if you give a old date like that, if you press the enter key, it says date of expire has been expired. Okay, so it's just a warning, it won't block you, but still you can save this one, so no harm done. But in order to be on the safe side, let me give a future date, so no harm. So I'm going to click on the save button. You can see the product will be getting added to this particular place, 20th item. You can see the new item got added. So if you click on this one, it enters the edit mode, and the data will be loaded to the screen, so you can start entering the values there. So I'll show that one as well. So let's change this one, and if you want to type something like a leather pouch, let's say, which should be 2,500 rupees, and okay, stock balance, let's say 50. Expiry date really doesn't matter for this one. So let's give a future date like 30. That looks good, and save this one. Get updated. Okay, hope you found this session useful.